Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'd first like to begin by offering my condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of those who were killed and injured on yesterday. I can't say enough about the seamless coordination of law enforcement, many of whom you will hear from this morning. We have joining us Chief Rodney Bryant from the Atlanta Police Department, Deputy Chief Charles Hampton from the Atlanta Police Department, Lieutenant Mark Rowley from the Georgia State Patrol, Sheriff Frank Reynolds from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, Captain Jay Baker from Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, FBI Special Agent in Charge Charles Hacker, Kurt Erskine, Acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. You won't hear from all of them, but you will hear from some of them this morning to provide additional details. Yesterday was a tragic day across our state. As many of you all know, there were several victims who were tragically killed on yesterday, and our thoughts and prayers remain with those families. Whether it's senseless violence we've seen play out in our streets or more targeted violence like we saw on yesterday, a crime against any community is a crime against us all. I've been in contact with the White House. I spoke with someone last night and again this morning. Of course, President Biden offers his full support and concern to our great state, and the White House has offered to support us with any additional resources and support that we need as we continue not just this investigation, but as we continue to deal with the spike in crime that we have seen since this pandemic began. Again, the coordination of law enforcement was spectacular on yesterday. This was a tragic day with many victims, but thankfully the suspect was quickly apprehended. And as I was talking with Special Agent in Charge Chief Hacker as we were coming in, he was sharing that he's not had better coordination with the Atlanta Police Department than he has had as of late. And certainly we thank the State Patrol, Cherokee County, and I believe it was Crisp County, where the suspect was apprehended, and all of our partners and stakeholders throughout the state who assisted with this the apprehension of this suspect. I will now turn it over to Chief Bryant to share additional information, and we will hear from our other law enforcement representatives to share more details on what happened on yesterday and where we stand today.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We will present in the chronological order so that we could better inform you on how things played out. So we'll start off with Sheriff from Cherokee County, Sheriff Reynolds from Cherokee County, and then it will go to me. We both have our investigator leads that could go into more details as a result of what happened and what transpired through the investigation. I think that it's important that we first acknowledge the fact, I know that we've received a number of calls about, is this a hate crime? We are still early in this investigation. So we cannot make that determination at this moment. Again, we are very early in this investigation. Even though we have made an arrest, there's still a lot more work to be done. And so with that being said, I just wanted to make sure that I know that that's going to be a concern and that you were probably asking that of many of us. We are just not there as of yet. Again, so thank you all, and we'll start with Sheriff Reynolds, Cherokee County.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mayor Bottoms. So we got a call about 4:55 yesterday afternoon of shooting in the Bells Ferry 92 area of southwest Cherokee County. Our deputies responded and found multiple gunshot victims. We were able to quickly identify a potential subject from video footage. Captain Jay Baker is here with me. He's going to be able to answer some questions as well. We were able to put that out on our social media. Shortly thereafter, we were contacted by members of the family indicating that that may be their son, and so we met with them. And I was there speaking with the family. They're very distraught, and they were very helpful in this apprehension. We were able to track his phone. Sheriff Billy Hancock from Crisp County is a fellow sheriff and good friend of mine. I reached out to him, anticipating the movement into his county. He was able to coordinate with the Georgia State Patrol and set up a position to intercept our suspect, and that's precisely what they did, a coordinated effort. Sheriff Hancock coordinated with the Georgia State Patrol to quickly pit the vehicle in order to prevent a pursuit. I'd like to echo the mayor and the chief in that it was a lot of collaboration between our police departments, the sheriff's office, and the FBI. FBI has been fantastic. They always are. Anything that we needed, they were there throughout the night. And our community. I mean, we're mostly a bedroom community. And I think last year we had one murder. We don't have a lot of crime in that area, so this is a shock to all of us. Captain, am I missing anything?
You know, just maybe about some of the comments he made.
We did interview him last night. He is currently in our facility at the Cherokee County Adult Detention Center. We were able to interview him with the Atlanta Police Department and FBI. He made indicators that he has some issues, potentially sexual addiction, and may have frequented some of these places in the past. But as the chief indicated, it's still early on. We still have a lot of things to process, and so he should be at an arraignment tomorrow at some time early morning to late morning, and we will keep you up to date. We have a press release that Captain Baker has put together available to our media folks. If you don't have that, I think we have some printed copies that he'll be happy to give to you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this moment.
So are you saying, when you talk to the suspect,
Mhm.
he says he has a sexual addiction issue, but I'm sure you asked him, was this racially motivated? Was this racially motivated?
As the chief indicated, it's still early, but the indicators right now are it may not be. It may be targets of opportunity. Again, we believe that he frequented these places in the past, and may have been lashing out, and part of that is in your media packet as well.
But the working theory is a sexual addiction issue rather than a racial profile.
During our interviews, we asked that specific question, and that did not appear to be the motive for.
We want to hold all questions till the end, please. Let
Yes.
us get
Thank
through
you.
the press conference, and then we'll answer any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. I'll turn it over to the next person.
So on yesterday at 5:47, our units responded to 1916 Piedmont Road on a robbery call. Upon arrival, they discovered 3 females shot inside this location. While investigating that location, they received another call at 1907 Piedmont Road where they found another female shot inside that location. Both locations were massage parlors. And at that time, we recognized that we had information previously put out by Cherokee County that they had a similar incident occurring in their jurisdiction. Immediately, the sheriff and I and the chief in that jurisdiction started having conversations, trying to bring things together. As we stated earlier, the collaboration between the different our local and state partners, we immediately start having conversations to coordinate our efforts to determine who our individual, the subject that we were looking for. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the quick response of the Sheriff Department identifying, getting their photo and putting that picture out so that we can get a quicker response in identifying the person that was the suspect in this type of incident. Once we were able to get our information and gather our information, coordinate with Cherokee County, we immediately put that out metro-wide, having conversations, again, as I stated, with our federal, state, and local partners. All immediately asked what could they do. All resources immediately started getting involved so that we could bring this to a quick closure. And from that, I'll turn it over to Georgia State Patrol, who concluded with the arrest.
Good morning. Yesterday afternoon, after the two incidents occurred here in Fulton and Cherokee counties, there was a lookout put out. There was also intel given. Our GEMA liaison and GEMA and Homeland Security liaison sent out emails letting us know a potential area where the suspect's vehicle may be. The sheriff of Cherokee County reached out to his partner down in Crifts County, who reached out to the Georgia State Patrol in Cordele, and we had a trooper monitoring traffic on I-75 South. The trooper observed the suspect's vehicle traveling south. He started following the vehicle and waited for backup, which included 2 other Georgia State troopers, as well as the sheriff of Crifts County and some of his deputies. They initiated a traffic stop and then immediately pitted the vehicle. After the vehicle was pitted, the suspect was taken into custody without further incident and transported to the Crifts County Jail.
We'll now open for questions. I do want to add one thing that was not mentioned. I believe Captain Baker shared with us that they determined that the suspect was on his way to Florida, I believe, and perhaps to carry out additional shootings. So again, it really speaks to the coordination and the quick response from law enforcement. For as tragic as this was on yesterday in Metro Atlanta, this could have been significantly worse. And again, I can't express enough my gratitude for the coordination, and the public as a whole should be grateful that this suspect was quickly apprehended, because it is very likely that there would have been more victims on yesterday.
Can you explain a little bit more about what the locations were that were targeted? The sheriff mentioned he had a sexual behavior. Were they places where somebody could have sexual encounters, or were they more traditional spa-like venues?
We are not about to get into victim blaming, victim shaming here. As far as we know in Atlanta, we've not had any calls, 911 calls from that location. I believe one minor call on someone stealing some keys. So we don't know additional information about what his motives were, but we certainly will not begin to blame victims. And as far as we know in Atlanta, these are legally operating businesses that have not been on our radar, not on the radar of APD.
Mayor,
Can
what's your
someone talk to
message
us
to
about
the,
the
what's your message to?
the surviving victim that was shot outside of the store? Can someone talk to us about that at all?
That's a question for our Cherokee partners.
Thank you. I'm Captain Jay Baker with the Cherokee Sheriff's Office. So that victim is stable. He's in stable condition at Wellstar Kennestone Hospital in Marietta.
Was he caught in the crossfire, or do you think he was a?
Don't know, and by the way, I agree with the mayor, we're not going to do any victim shaming. We're not sure what his presence was there, and the other people that were killed at that location, we're not going to say whether they were employees or whether they were there just by happenstance. So just don't want to go into that at this time. I do have a press release with their names that we will give y'all when this is over with. So
Is that the only survivor?
that is the only survivor. We had 4 killed and 1 survived.
Your company stated that the suspect was perhaps upset at these locations for allowing him to have an outlet for his addiction. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, let me go into a little bit of detail. So the suspect did take responsibility for the shootings. He said that early on once we began the interviews with him. He claims that these, and as the chief said, this is still early, but he does claim that it was not racially motivated. He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate. Like I said, it's still early on, but those were comments that he made.
Did he discuss any kind of religious motivation for this, or was he responsible?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
Or political?
None political. I've heard nothing about politics.
Any sense of his social media history? Is that something you've been able to look at?
That's something that investigators, they've been working on all along, and that's certainly one of the things they'll be doing.
Sheriff, did you have the sense that he understood the gravity of what he did?
I spoke with investigators that interviewed him this morning, and they got that impression that yes, he understood the gravity of it, and he was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope, and yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
Remorseful?
I'm not going to go to. I don't know if he was remorseful or not.
He's a pretty young guy. Was he a student? Does he live with his parents?
He's 21 years of age. It's my understanding he does not live with his parents. I don't know who he was living with at the time of this incident.
Was he employed?
I'm not aware of that either. That's some of the things.
Just two questions. Just to be clear, the suspect has admitted to the shooting event.
Yes.
Second, yes, he has.
Yes.
And secondly, there was indication that the family notified you. What indications or what reasons did the family notify you?
We put out an image of a possible suspect very early on in this incident, and we were notified by his family, who were fully cooperative, and we are greatly appreciative of their assistance in this matter.
How did you get the image, Sheriff? Was the image from the surveillance camera?
Surveillance cameras. So there were several businesses there, and we were able to get images from those.
And then you also ID'd his car also from the surveillance?
The car, and then of course, obviously, we were able to get in touch with the parents, who identified it from social media that was their child, their son.
Florida, were
Did you
there
say
any,
earlier
did he
that-
mention any particular businesses that he was going after?
Just as my understanding, it was some type of porn industry in that state, that he was wanting to go do some similar act in that location. No additional details at this time.
I'm sorry to clarify, did you say earlier that in interviewing the suspect, he said it was not racially motivated?
He did make that claim.
Despite there not being a racial motivation, there has been a very real set of anti-Asian hate attacks across the country. We've heard from New York City Police that they're actually sending resources out of an abundance of caution to their Asian communities across the city. Now, for any of the law enforcement partners here, is there anything similar as far as strategy and extra support for either the Asian American communities in Metro Atlanta or similar businesses like massage parlors?
May I speak to that?
So obviously, whatever the motivation was for this guy, we know that many of the victims, the majority of the victims, were Asian. We also know that this is an issue that's happening across the country. It is unacceptable, it is hateful, and it has to stop. That being said, we are coordinating in real time to make sure that our communities have the resources that they need. We have not seen a significant uptick in formal complaints within the city of Atlanta, but obviously this is a large metropolitan region. And we know that we're hearing the stories. We're seeing them on television. We're seeing them on social media. So we certainly are aware, and we stand ready to provide any additional resources. But again, because of the quick coordination, when I was on my way home from City Hall last night, when I received the alert that there was a business shooting on Piedmont Road, I immediately called Chief Bryan, who had already been in touch with Cherokee County, and they were already making the connection. So we had a very rapid response, but certainly we will continue to be proactive and provide resources to the extent that we can to make sure that our communities are protected. And again, encouraging anyone. We know many of our communities are sometimes hesitant to bring in law enforcement. If there are things and concerns that are happening in your communities, around your businesses, et cetera, there's nothing too big or too small that we want to be aware of it all to make sure that we can provide resources and respond accordingly.
Can you clarify what sort of weapons were retrieved from his vehicle or he used in the shooting? And were they all legally obtained weapons?
I can tell you that a 9mm firearm was located in his vehicle when he was taken into custody. You know, whether it was legally obtained will be one of the things that our investigators will be looking into. And just to be clear, our victims, I know that obviously Atlanta, all their victims were Asian. 2 of our victims were white, in case anyone was unaware of that. We had 2 Asians and 2 whites that were killed at our location. That's one of the things that at this time we're not going to go into details about why they were there.
The 9mm, that was the weapon he used,
Well, obviously, we'll have to do forensics on the firearm, but we're confident that it is.
but it was the only weapon that you found.
Yes, yes.
Did he have like a bunch of
No other weapons were located in the vehicle.
How much ammunition?
Pardon me?
Do you have a sense of how many times he shot, how much ammunition?
I don't have that information.
Is there any reason to believe that other similar businesses should still be concerned today? Is there still a threat?
To my opinion, that he was acting alone. There's no indication that anyone was working with him, so we're confident that's not going to be a problem.
Sir, can you clarify, you said he was on his way to Florida, where you believe that you and the mayor said that you believe he would have engaged in additional acts of violence against similar businesses?
He made a comment to that effect, that he was headed to Florida and that he was going to do similar acts in that state.
And the issue was that he wanted to destroy what had been tempting him?
It sounds to me like these locations, he sees them as an outlet for him, that some things that he shouldn't be doing, and that an issue with porn, and that he was attempting to take out that temptation.
And he had
Two
visited
more
both of those
questions,
locations
please. Only
before?
2 more questions.
Pardon me?
He had visited both of those locations?
I'm unaware if he had been to those specific locations. One more? Anybody?
What was the conversation like with his family? Is there anything you can share about that?
You know, I don't want to go into details other than to say that we are really appreciative of the family. Without them, this would not have happened as quickly as it happened. They were very supportive, and certainly this was difficult for them.
Did he resist at all during the ride?
No, he did not resist.
Mental health Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
And by the way, I'll bring out our press release and put it out here for y'all shortly.
Someone left their eyeglasses. Did the chief? Glasses. Maybe share.
I'm going to go over the list of who spoke in the order that they spoke, if you're ready. And I'll have, the spelling will be on the table, but it's not necessarily in the order that they spoke in. Of course, the first person to speak was Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. The second was Chief Rodney Bryant of the Atlanta Police Department. The third person was Sheriff Frank Reynolds of the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Fourth person was Lieutenant Mark Riley of the Georgia State Patrol. And fifth was Captain Jay Baker of Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Mark Riley. And I'll have the list over on the table. It's just not in the same order, but the names are on the list. Thank you all. We will have someone to escort you out, so please don't leave the building without an escort. Thank you. How are you? I'm well.